Ladies and gentlemen, have you ever seen a woman walk into a room and without saying a word, the atmosphere shifts? There's something about her presence, something unshakable, unbreakable, and unstoppable. That's not just confidence, that's divine covering. When God's hand is on a woman's life, no scheme, no attack, no weapon formed against her can prosper. Divine peace protects her. There is a strength in peace that many overlook. Peace is not the absence of trouble, but the presence of calm in the middle of it. A woman who is protected by God does not rely on circumstances to feel secure. She understands that storms may rage around her, but the storm within is silenced by divine covering. This is not something she manufactures on her own. It is a supernatural assurance that she is never abandoned. Her peace comes from knowing that God fights battles she may never even see. When others lose themselves in anxiety, she chooses to remain still inside. This stillness is not weakness, it is wisdom. It takes more courage to be calm than to panic. Evil people feed on fear, but they cannot manipulate someone who refuses to be shaken. Her calm spirit confuses them because they cannot understand how she stands unafraid when everything around her says she should collapse. They plan to intimidate her, but intimidation fails when peace guards her heart. Peace becomes her weapon. Every choice she makes comes from clarity instead of chaos. She doesn't rush into wrong decisions because she feels pressured. Instead, she pauses, breathes, and listens for God's guidance. That pause saves her from traps set in haste. She is not driven by panic, but by purpose. Evil loses power when peace takes its place. This divine peace is not passive. It is protective. It covers her like armor, shielding her mind from the darts of worry. Fear cannot lodge where faith is rooted. Even when evil words are spoken against her, she does not absorb them. She chooses to hold on to truth, not lies. This decision to remain peaceful becomes her defense. The moment she refuses to let fear take root, the plans of evil people begin to collapse. There are moments when pressure builds and emotions rise, but she has learned to choose peace intentionally. She does not wait for peace to appear. She claims it through trust. She knows who holds her future, and that knowledge silences the noise around her. Instead of reacting to every attack, she responds with quiet strength. Her lack of reaction disarms her enemies. They expect anger, they expect tears, but instead they encounter unshakable calm. This peace shapes her environment. Wherever she walks, she carries stability with her. Children feel safe in her presence. Friends find rest in her words. Even those who oppose her feel unsettled because her peace reflects a strength they cannot control. It is not arrogance, it is assurance. Evil cannot penetrate where peace has built a wall. Peace also preserves her health and mind. While bitterness destroys others from the inside, she thrives because she refuses to let poison settle in her spirit. She has decided that no evil person will control her emotions. By guarding her heart, she keeps her energy for the battles that truly matter. This is why she looks strong even after trials. Her peace has sustained her when stress could have destroyed her. Divine peace does not mean she avoids battles. It means she never fights them alone. She can stand in the face of threats without trembling. She can smile when others expect her to break. She can rest when others stay restless. That rest is evidence of God's protection at work. Her peace is not a personality trait. It is proof that heaven defends her. Discernment exposes evil. Discernment is the quiet power that protects her from deception. A woman who is covered by God carries an inner radar that goes beyond appearances. Evil people can disguise their motives with smiles, sweet words, or false gestures of care, but her spirit is not easily fooled. She senses what is hidden because God sharpens her perception. This gift allows her to see the difference between what looks right and what truly is right. She does not simply listen to what is said. She observes what is unsaid, what is felt, and what is not aligned with truth. When discernment is active in her life, she avoids relationships that could harm her. She may not always explain why she feels unsettled around someone, but her heart knows. That hesitation that nudges her protection. Others may call it intuition, but she recognizes it as divine discernment. She does not ignore the signals within her. By listening to them, she steps out of the snares that evil people set. The trap may look attractive, the opportunity may look rewarding, but discernment warns her that behind the shine is poison. Evil people often operate through manipulation. They use words to create confusion, to plant doubt, to pull her into agreements that would bind her. Yet discernment breaks their strategy. Instead of being moved by flattery, she evaluates the fruit of someone's life. Do their actions align with their promises? Does their character remain consistent when no one is watching? These questions guide her away from the surface level into the deeper truth. Evil cannot thrive long around someone who refuses to be blinded. Discernment is not about suspicion of everyone. It is about clarity in crucial moments. She can welcome people with love, but she does not hand over her trust recklessly. She tests words against truth, and she waits for evidence before surrendering her confidence. In doing so, she creates boundaries that evil cannot cross. Her ability to distinguish between real support and hidden agendas saves her from unnecessary pain. Many fall into traps because they trust too quickly, but she chooses carefully, and that choice keeps her secure. This gift also gives her authority in guiding others. She can advise her children, her friends, or her community to avoid destructive paths. Her words carry weight because they are backed by vision. She sees the danger ahead before others notice, and her warning becomes a shield for those who listen. Evil people may attempt to spread lies, but discernment exposes them through her voice. She becomes a light in places where deception hides. Discernment is sharpened through prayer and wisdom. She does not depend on her natural senses alone. She seeks divine insight. When she prays, clarity rises. When she studies truth, her vision grows. Evil thrives in darkness, but discernment brings light into hidden corners. That is why people who intend harm often feel uneasy around her. They cannot mask themselves in her presence. She notices what others overlook, and that awareness keeps her steps steady. Every time she chooses discernment, she chooses freedom. She is not trapped in toxic relationships, not bound by deceitful promises, not missiled by empty words. Her life moves forward because she refuses to be slowed down by the weight of betrayal. Even when she faces losses, discernment helps her understand they are often divine protection in disguise. What looked like rejection becomes redirection, and what seemed like loss becomes deliverance. Evil cannot outsmart discernment. While others fall for the surface, she sees the root. While others are blinded by appearances, she identifies intentions. This wisdom becomes her shield, her guide, and her safeguard. By walking in discernment, she exposes evil before it has the chance to take hold. Unstoppable favor. Favor is the invisible advantage that shifts circumstances in her direction. A woman who carries divine covering experiences doors opening that others cannot explain. Opportunities arrive at the right time, resources align without force, and people are moved to support her in ways they did not plan. This is not coincidence, it is favor orchestrated by God. Evil people may try to block her progress, but they cannot control the unseen hand that arranges her path. When favor is at work, no scheme can stand against it. She does not chase recognition, yet recognition finds her. Where others compete for attention, her light shines naturally because favor amplifies her presence. This is why she can walk into spaces where she feels unqualified and still be chosen. Favor positions her for blessings that effort alone cannot produce. Her preparation matters, but her advancement is not limited to her preparation. It is the divine push that takes her further than her own strength could carry. Evil people may question why she succeeds, but they cannot undo what heaven has approved. Unstoppable favor also brings protection. Even when she is surrounded by opposition, people rise to defend her without being asked. Hearts are moved on her behalf, and doors that seemed locked swing open. What was meant to trap her turns into testimony. What was designed to harm her becomes a platform for elevation. Evil people find themselves frustrated because their efforts to destroy her become fuel for her promotion. The very battle they thought would break her becomes the stage where favor proves unstoppable. This favor does not depend on her circumstances. Even in seasons of lack, she experiences provision. Even in places of rejection, she finds acceptance. Her life becomes evidence that favor is not bound by logic. She may walk into a situation with nothing but faith and leave with more than she imagined. Evil people cannot comprehend this because they measure life by natural rules. While she lives under divine exceptions, where others are disqualified, she is chosen. Where others are ignored, she is noticed. Where others are rejected, she is embraced. Unstoppable favor also transforms relationships. The right people are drawn to her life, willing to invest in her, mentor her, or partner with her. She does not have to beg for support because favor attracts it. Evil people who wish to isolate her are unable to succeed because she is continually surrounded by allies sent at just the right time. Even when someone walks away, favor ensures that someone better is already on the way. The flow of support cannot be interrupted because it is divinely designed. This favor is not just about her advancement, but about impact. She carries influence that extends beyond her own needs. Her words encourage, her example inspires, and her presence uplifts. People listen because favor adds weight to her voice. Even in silence, she commands respect. Evil people may attempt to silence her influence, but they cannot erase what favor has established. Every attempt to diminish her only magnifies her reach, because favor multiplies what is given to it. Unstoppable favor sustains her through challenges. She may face closed doors, but soon after a greater door opens. She may encounter resistance, but resistance becomes a sign that breakthrough is near. Her confidence is not rooted in ease, but in assurance. She knows that favor makes a way where there seems to be no way. She does not crumble under pressure because she understands that favor does not end when trials begin. It follows her into the fire and brings her out refined. Everywhere she goes, favor speaks louder than opposition. It creates opportunities that enemies cannot cancel. It brings blessings that cannot be stolen. It ensures that her story continues to rise, no matter who tries to pull her down. Favor is not temporary in her life. It is unstoppable, undeniable, and unshakable. Powerful prayer life. Prayer is not just words spoken into the air. It is a direct connection to divine power. A woman who lives under God's protection knows that her greatest weapon is not her strength, her position, or her resources, but her prayers. She understands that battles are won in the spiritual realm before they ever show results in the physical. Evil people may conspire against her, but when she bends her knees and lifts her voice, their strategies lose force. Her prayer life is her shield, her sword, and her unshakable foundation. Her prayers carry weight because they are birthed from faith. She does not pray casually or out of routine. She prays with expectation. Every request she brings is filled with trust that God hears and answers. Evil people may underestimate her quiet moments, but in those moments she is shaking invisible chains, breaking unseen plots, and calling down protection over her life. What others think is weakness becomes her greatest strength because her prayers activate the power of heaven. Her prayer life keeps her spirit clear. Instead of carrying the burden of worry, she pours it out in prayer. Every concern, every fear, every question is laid down before God. Evil thrives on confusion, but prayer brings clarity. When she is uncertain about which way to go, her prayers open pathways. When she feels surrounded, her prayers remind her she is not alone. Evil loses its grip because prayer lifts her above the noise and sets her feet on firm ground. Prayer is also her source of discernment. She does not only speak in prayer, she listens. In the stillness, guidance comes. The right decision becomes clearer, the wrong paths are exposed, and the truth that was hidden rises to the surface. Evil people may try to disguise themselves, but prayer sharpens her vision. She walks away from conversations knowing more than was said because prayer gave her insight beyond the natural. Her ability to see deeper is rooted in her consistent connection with the divine. Her prayer life is not confined to a specific place. She carries it everywhere she goes. She can whisper a prayer in the middle of a meeting, breathe one while walking, or cry out in the quiet of the night. This constancy keeps her spirit aligned and her heart guarded. Evil people may try to catch her off guard, but she remains covered because she is always connected. Prayer is not her last resort, it is her lifestyle. Through prayer, she builds resilience. Life's storms may shake others, but her anchor holds because her prayers keep her grounded. Every time she prays, she releases what could break her and receives what strengthens her. Evil cannot break someone who continually draws strength from a higher source. Her endurance is not natural, it is supernatural. Prayer keeps her rising when life tries to press her down. Her prayers not only cover her, but extend to those she loves. She intercedes for family, friends, and even strangers. Evil people may attempt to touch those close to her, but her prayers create a hedge of protection around them. Many who do not even know her by name are shielded because of the power of her intercession. She becomes a vessel through which protection flows outward, impacting lives beyond her reach. Prayer also transforms her perspective. Instead of focusing on the size of her problems, she remembers the greatness of her God. This shift gives her courage. Evil loses its intimidation when she sees how small it is compared to the power she calls upon. Fear diminishes, faith rises, and her confidence grows. She walks boldly not because life is easy, but because her prayer life keeps her aware of who fights for her. Her powerful prayer life is the invisible barrier evil cannot penetrate. It is her weapon, her refuge, her fortress. When she prays, heaven moves and darkness trembles. No matter how strong the attack, prayer ensures she remains stronger. Bounce back strength. Strength is not measured by how often someone avoids falling, but by how powerfully they rise after being knocked down. A woman who is protected by God carries within her a resilience that refuses to be destroyed by failure, betrayal, or hardship. Evil people may rejoice when they think she has been defeated, but her story is never over in the place of her fall. Her bounce-back strength is the evidence that divine power sustains her. She does not remain broken because restoration follows every setback. Her resilience is built on perspective. Instead of seeing obstacles as the end, she views them as lessons and redirections. Every loss teaches her wisdom, every betrayal sharpens her discernment, and every disappointment pushes her closer to her true path. Evil people may intend harm, but their actions unintentionally prepare her for greater victories. Her bounce back is not only about survival, it is about transformation. She rises stronger, wiser, and more prepared than before. This strength shows in her refusal to surrender to bitterness. She chooses healing over hatred, growth over grudges, and hope over despair. Evil people often count on their actions, leaving permanent scars, but she refuses to give them that power. Her recovery is proof that she is not defined by what happened to her, but by what she chooses after it. Every time she decides to rise, she breaks the cycle of destruction that evil tries to enforce. Her bounce-back strength also flows from faith. She believes that no matter how dark the valley, there is always a way through. This belief fuels her persistence. Even when her resources are gone, even when friends walk away, even when her heart is heavy, she holds on to the conviction that her story is not finished. Evil cannot understand how she keeps moving forward when logic says she should collapse. What they do not see is the unseen hand lifting her, strengthening her, and carrying her beyond their reach. Her strength is visible in the way she rebuilds. She does not simply return to where she was. She rises higher. The business that failed becomes the foundation for a greater one. The relationship that ended creates room for healthier love. The season of loss becomes the birthplace of abundance. Evil people are frustrated because their attempts to destroy her often end up accelerating her growth. Her comeback makes their efforts useless, and her elevation becomes a testimony that every setback was only temporary. This strength inspires others. People watch her fall and expect her to remain down, but then they see her rise with dignity. Her ability to recover encourages those who feel broken. She becomes a living message that failure is not final, that heartbreak is not permanent, and that disappointment is not the end. Evil people cannot silence the influence of her testimony because her life itself speaks louder than their lies. Her bounce-back strength is not loud but steady. She does not need to prove herself to anyone. Instead, her actions display perseverance. She gets up each morning with determination, even when pain lingers. She continues to show up, to work, to believe, and to love. Evil cannot comprehend this persistence because they measure power by control, while her strength comes from surrender to divine guidance. This resilience also ensures that she does not live in fear of failure. She knows she can recover, so she dares to take risks. Evil people cannot intimidate her with threats of loss, because loss does not define her. Even if she falls again, she trusts she will rise again. This makes her unstoppable. Every attempt to block her becomes another chance to prove that nothing can hold her permanently down. Her bounce-back strength is not just about endurance, it is about victory. It is the constant reminder that she is more than her wounds, greater than her struggles, and stronger than her enemies. Evil cannot erase her destiny, because every fall is only a pause before her rise. Light disturbs darkness. Light does not argue with darkness, it simply shines, and the darkness is forced to retreat. A woman who carries divine protection walks as a living light. Her presence exposes what is hidden, her words uncover what is false, and her actions reveal what is pure. Evil people find themselves unsettled around her, not because she attacks them, but because her very existence confronts the shadows they thrive in. Darkness cannot remain comfortable in the presence of light, and she is the embodiment of that truth. Her light comes from within, not from external accomplishments. It is the reflection of the strength, peace, and wisdom that flows through her. She does not need to announce it or force it. It radiates naturally. This light is her testimony, her shield, and her influence. When she walks into a room, negativity feels out of place. Evil words lose their power. Hidden agendas begin to unravel, and dishonesty trembles. The clarity she carries exposes the chaos that others try to disguise. Evil people often work in secrecy. They depend on shadows, lies, and manipulation to control situations. Yet, when her light appears, those shadows disappear. She does not even have to call them out. Her integrity itself is a mirror that reflects their falsehood. Her consistency, her kindness, and her authenticity reveal the emptiness of deception. This is why people who plan harm often feel uneasy around her. They recognize they cannot remain hidden. Her light uncovers without effort. Her light also brings guidance. In a world filled with confusion, she provides direction simply by living in alignment with truth. People are drawn to her because they see clarity in her steps. They feel safer in her presence because her light brings order where darkness has spread chaos. Evil people cannot manipulate those who are guided by her example because light gives them vision to see what lies ahead. She becomes a lighthouse, protecting others from crashing into unseen dangers. This light is not a product of perfection, but a transformation. She has walked through pain, trials, and moments of deep struggle, yet she emerged shining brighter. Her scars become sources of wisdom, and her resilience becomes a glow that others cannot ignore. Darkness is disturbed because her story proves that brokenness can be healed, weakness can become strength, and loss can turn into restoration. Evil cannot compete with someone who carries such testimony because her very life refutes the lies they try to spread. Her light is also protective. Darkness cannot invade where light is strong. Evil people may attempt to approach, but their plans weaken in her presence. She creates an environment where love thrives, truth is valued, and hope is alive. In such a space, negativity suffocates. She has not only guarded herself, but becomes a shield for those connected to her. Her children, friends, and community benefit from the light she carries because it creates an atmosphere where evil loses influence. Light carries authority, and that authority intimidates darkness. Evil people often respond with hostility, gossip, or resistance, not because she has harmed them, but because her existence threatens the shadows they cling to. Her consistency confronts their inconsistency. Her honesty confronts their deception. Her faith confronts their fear. They are disturbed because her light exposes what they wanted to keep hidden. Yet no matter how much they resist, the light continues to shine. Her light also attracts opportunities aligned with her destiny. Just as darkness cannot remain where light is, blessings are drawn to where light shines. People are moved to help her, doors open in her favor, and influence grows without striving. Evil may attempt to dim her light, but every attempt only causes it to glow stronger. Like a flame in the wind, resistance fuels her brilliance. Light disturbs darkness because it cannot be ignored. It challenges lies, silences fear, and exposes evil. A woman who carries this light walks with quiet authority, radiating a power that does not need explanation. Darkness may try to resist, but it will always yield. Her light is proof that she is divinely covered, and nothing in the shadows can overcome her.